Joe Silva. I'm the matchmaker for the Ultimate Fighting Championship.
And then, how long have you been working with the UFC?
It's been over a decade I've worked with the UFC.
How is it that you have been there so long with this sport like that?
I just love it. I did martial arts all my life, and I had a really good eye for it. When the first UFC came out, I saw a lot of things that they would have problems with, and they had no time limits, no judges, and I just kind of saw those many problems. So when they did the second UFC, I started contacting them. I'm sure tons of people called them, but they just really liked the arguments I presented. You know, you're gonna have problems with this, you're gonna have problems with that, and they came true. So I started writing stuff for them, I started doing other things, I started using more of my ideas, and it built to a part-time job, then a full-time job, and I made some matches on the side, and then when Zupa took over the company, actually Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell told them, because they knew the owners, and they're like, this Joe Silva guy, he's doing a ton of stuff behind the scenes. A lot of people don't know him, but he's worked here forever, and there's a lot of good stuff. So they brought me in and interviewed me, and made me Vice President of Talent Relations. Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
Okay. How do you deal with that? I mean, with as much stuff as you do and as hard as you work, it seems like you deserve more credit than you get. How do you deal with being behind and just pushing the sport forward, as opposed to yourself?
Everybody's got an ego, and there's times you feel like, more credit, but it's also, when you put yourself in the public eye, you are under such scrutiny. It is a different thing people don't understand. So Dana is the face of the UFC. He's our president, and he gets most of the verbal abuse. So when that happens, I'm kind of happy. It's like, yeah, I can step back a little bit. You don't have to bear all the slings and arrows. But Zupa's a really great company, and they've taken good care of me.
Yeah, but I mean, you've done the matchmaking for more than a year, so.
I don't even know the year, but it is also a team thing, and it always has been throughout the UFC. You've got an owner, and you've got a president. It's their money and their show. Yeah, if I want to do a fight, and they really don't want to do it, guess what? It ain't happening.
Right.
If there's a fight that they really want, even if I don't care for it, guess what? It's going to happen. They're the bosses. So I bring my list of fights that I want to do, and we'll debate about it. We'll hash it out, and I'll get some of what I want, and they get some of what they want. And it's a real good system.
Now, what I want to know is how the business actually works. Like, say what's going on with Tito. I know he's like the face of the UFC at one time. Now he's not. So what's going on with that, and how those contracts get solved and signed and everything like that?
They're just always constantly negotiated. People sign different contracts. Some are longer term than others, but certainly when somebody's contract is up, then it's time to renegotiate. And some people are harder to renegotiate with than others. So that's the fun part. Yeah, of it. There's some of the hardest things is most of the fighters are great guys, and I want to see them all do well. And you're putting in matches where you know one is going to win and one is going to lose. And it's sad. Mayhem Miller is a guy I really like a lot. And I know how good he was, but I still didn't like his chances against St. Pierre. I know how great he is, but Mayhem wanted the shot. He wanted his opportunity, so that is all I can do is give somebody an opportunity. But it is hard. I put people I consider good friends in matches where they've gotten beaten up, and that's just, that's the game.
Now, would you consider this a true or false statement? I always say in the UFC, it's two professionals. Anybody can win on any given day.
100% I agree with that. That's why I like rematches. Some people go, man, you guys do a lot of rematches. I really do believe, because there's so many ways to lose that you could get caught with a kick, a punch, a knee, an elbow, a choke, an arm lock, a leg lock. You can't defend everything all the time. So I really do believe that people should get a second shot. If they've worked their way up, they've got a few wins. I was happy to see Frank Trigg get another shot. And Matt Hughes proved definitively he is the king of that division.
What a fight.
Amazing. I couldn't ask, the Stephen Bonner versus Forrest Griffin fight. When fighters come like that, that's why it's not false modesty. People come up and say, great Joe, you did a great job. I always say, I want to thank the fighters for coming to fight. Because you could put two of the best fighters in the world, but if they decide to fight conservatively, it's going to suck. Mm-hmm. You can put two mediocre fighters together, but if they decide, we're going balls out, we're going to throw it down, it's going to be entertaining.
The Stephen Bonner Griffin fight to me looked like the most balls out fight.
But the crazy thing is they look like they're having fun doing it.
Yeah, they did.
It's like, you got me good here, I'm going to get you back. Yeah. And that it's a great feeling. Stuff like that makes me really proud. Sometimes, it is a job. I've done it for years and years. So sometimes you can get down, you get kind of in a rut, but things like that pull you up out of it. Like, oh yeah, this is why I fell in love with the sport.
And how do you feel what's going on with the sport right now, especially with the UFC, with Spike TV? How much of an influence is that going to have on the next 3 years in this sport?
It's amazing, that's what I'd always told people is UFC was a pay-per-view, it was an anomaly. Nothing has ever been successful in pay-per-view without TV support. Boxing has TV support, wrestling has TV support. We were just pay-per-view. You're asking people to, spend $35 on something that they don't really know all the people in it. It's like if we could ever get TV and get the general public for free to see who these people are and how exciting the sport is, that's what it needs to blow up, and now it's happening. And there's been times in UFC history that I've been through it all from the beginning where I was convinced it's like, well, it's been fun. I guess I'll go find something else to do now because things look really bleak. But now it's like the sky's the limit. It's a great time to be involved in the sport.
You've probably seen more fights than anyone in the game. Do you have a favorite fight?
I do have a favorite fighter. He's
that?
never been in the UFC.
Wow, now that's very interesting.
His name is Ruben Asado. He was one of Shudo's top stars. They actually printed it in a Japanese magazine. My cat's name is Ruben Agato. Because Gato was Spanish for cat.
Oh, wow, yeah.
No, I went to Abu Dhabi, he competed there, got to meet him, and he's such a total geek. It's like, please, would you flying armbar me? Just so I can say that Ruben Asado is flying armbar. So yeah, he is, everybody knows he's far and away my favorite.
Will we see him in the UFC?
No, he's down at 145 now.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
So he was fighting at 155, and now he's dropped down to even 145, and we don't really utilize the class.
Right.
But he's just, he's my favorite.
Yeah, I know. I've seen his transitions are incredible.
Will the UFC ever be able to compete with a WWE where you have a fight every week?
I'd like to see it. It's a lot more work, but there's so much good talent out there. I would at least like to see monthly UFC. We can definitely, it's hard right now only doing 5 to 6 shows a year to build depth in each of these weight classes.
Right.
So the more shows I have, the better for me, the more people lets me build up.
Okay, as far as lightweight is 155?
Yes.
Are you still doing the lightweight?
Right now we kind of pushed back the 155s, simply trying to add some depth to those other weight classes. It's not something I want to do. I help create the 155 pound weight class. And some of my favorite fighters are people in that weight class. I'm a little guy myself, but it's just hard. Something had to go because it was too split up. There was just too weight classes and not enough shows. If you look at high, they primarily are 2 weight classes.
Heavyweight?
Yeah, basically heavyweight, light heavyweight. They call it different names. They call their light heavyweight, middleweight.
Yeah.
But so every fight they have would build one or the other. But I was splitting mine 5 ways.
I'm trying to build them all up.
So it's just very difficult. So hopefully it continues to grow. We do more shows and more opportunity for more great young fighters out there. Mixed martial arts is a combat sport that encompasses all the combat sports. If you can do it in judo, if you can do it in boxing, if you can do it in wrestling, if you can do it in taekwondo, all of those styles can compete against each other and do all the techniques. You're not asking them to leave their techniques behind. You can add on. Exactly. So many times it happens, well, let's see what's tougher, a kickboxer or a wrestler, but we're going to do it under kickboxing rules. That doesn't prove anything.
Except for the kickboxing rules is rules.
Exactly. So the octagon is considered to be more of a neutral ground, where if somebody says boxers are the best fighters, come on in and box all you want. But he can also do the things he wants to do. He can take you down, he can kick you in the legs. That was how the UFC was founded. And that's why the UFC was so huge. At first, people don't understand. It's like, why was it so huge at first and it kind of died out? It's because people didn't know. They're like, what would happen if a kung fu guy, or a karate guy, somebody would die, are they going to fly across the ring? And then it revealed it, but soon people came to realize, okay, that Dim Mak stuff and all that is a bunch of crap. This is a sport. And so now it's had to build as a sport instead of a spectacle. So it's a slower build, but it's a much better chance for a long, sustained growth rather than the flash in the pan, oh, it's the fad this week and gone the next.
And what's the process of getting sanctioned? What do you have to go through?
It was a lot, the SEG had started the sanctioning process and started there, but the big thing was getting Vegas when the Fertitas bought the company, and we got Nevada State Athletic Commission to approve it. That was just huge for us, because that's kind of one of the things the cable companies were saying is like, well, why should we put you on TV? You're an unsanctioned sport. But when you can go, legitimate sanctioning bodies say we are a safe and real sport, how can you not play us? So that was huge. That was huge.
Well, last question. Could you just explain how contracts work in UFC? Usually I know it's a base amount and then there's another amount.
Yeah, certain amounts to show and then more bonus to win.
Okay, now, and then the last question. If you give a fighter a multiple fight contract and he loses a fight, can that contract be voided because of that loss?
It could be, yeah.
Okay, well, could you explain that concept? Is that just how he lost and not going to want to see him again, or why
No,
is that?
the thing is, quite often we do bring them back. It's just, you need that flexibility because of what I was talking about, having so few spots in the show. Nobody new can come in till somebody old goes. And sometimes they'll just go away for 6 months, get to win a couple small shows and come back. But you need that flexibility to move new in, old out. Babalu lost to Chuck Liddell, got knocked out, was out fighting, doing stuff in other shows. Now he's back. This is Joe Silva, and you're watching Pain and Glory.